Like 15 years.
That's great. Can I add just a little bit to that?
I brought these for you too.
David Barton, when he spoke about same-sex marriage last night, was it last night really? It was only last night. It's been a long day. At the celebration of marriage, said that there are 12 nations that have had same-sex marriage for long enough that we have statistics on what happens. And of course, the big push in the United States is same-sex marriage. They want the right to be married. He said, research shows in these 12 countries that only 2% actually marry. Most of them don't want to get married. It's not, only 2%. And of those 2% that actually choose to get married, the average length of their marriage is 18 months. And within that 18 months of being married, the average is 8 affairs, 8 extramarital relationships in that 18 months. This is the one that really gets me. The out-of-wedlock childbirth in those nations increased 60%. And then he talked about the cost, because out-of-wedlock marriages causes children who don't have what they need, and then the country feels that they need to take care of those needs. And so now you're looking at a socialistic problem. And he said, in this country, we already spend $112 billion a year for that problem of out-of-wedlock children. Can we really support a 60% increase in the amount of children that are born out of wedlock in the United States? And then, of course, he goes into how it instantly decreases our liberties. We lose our religious liberty because those who are in religious leadership are not allowed to not marry those who want to be married same-sex marriage. Right, and that was his next thing. Religious liberty goes first, but then freedom of speech goes next, because he said, and it's already happened in this country, in the states where there is same-sex marriage. He said, I've gone there, and he was, I don't know that he even mentioned this state, but he said, I went to do a radio show, and they said, you can't use those statistics. You can't say despairing things against same-sex marriage. And he said, there's statistics. This is scientific data. And they said, can't use it because it says bad things about same-sex marriage.
Because there's only bad things.
Yeah. And that's what he says. You can't present statistics that make same-sex marriage look bad, is what he was told.
Because now it's legal.
Yeah.
You know, it's a law. It's not a good law, but it is a law.
Well, then it becomes discrimination, right? If you say bad things about it, then you're discriminating. No, it's just scientific data. Scientific data doesn't discriminate, right? Anyway, I thought I would add that when I knew what Deanna was going to talk about tonight. I thought I would take my notes. It was
great.
It was amazing.
For next time, we have Lecture 6 assignments, or Lecture 6, take notes and answer questions. We're back to 5,000 Year Leap Principles 12, 20, 21, and 26. So 4 chapters there. Read Proper Role of Government by Ezra Taft Benson, and write ideas to bring to discuss about that. And then she said, begin Whatever Happened to Penny Candy. I don't think she gives us certain chapters or pages to read, but she says to begin it with a lot of our study skills that we've learned in mind. So research the author, list principles, compare principles to your central classic and to 5,000 Year Leap. So she's trying to help us become more interdisciplinary, at least within what we've studied in this class. And then she says to use the nonfiction study skills, which are preview the book before you read it, write a how-to list, which is in contrast to writing a principles list. Sometimes people will say things as if they're principles, and it's really just one way that you could apply principles. And so that becomes a how-to list instead of your principle list. And then identify stories. So those are the nonfiction study skills she says to use. Also to look, as we begin Whatever Happened to Penny Candy, for natural law, natural rights, and natural consequences, which she talked about all three of those more in her Classics Why and How You Should Read Them article that was for this time. And then to write some interdisciplinary questions between either the books we're reading or other resources as well. And then she has, and go deeper for this next time, she says to read the law. And or That Which Is Seen and That Which Is Not Seen. That's also by Bastiat. Or more of The Road to Serfdom that she's recommended before, as well as Communist Manifesto. And then next month we have the presentation time. It's going to be by Kate and maybe Richard, and it's going to be something about China. So that's to give you a heads up about the next month. And then to wrap up our discussion tonight, something that I read, now I'm not sure if it was from That Which Is Seen and That Which Is Not Seen, or from a lecture from what Audrey quoted that Bastiat said, was that if we would be strong, we should eliminate from our government all the socialism that has crept into it. And as I read that, I thought, I kind of took that same idea and applied some of the other things that we've been learning for tonight's lesson and thought to think about how to apply. And one of my goals is to enable us to know what to do to influence for the good of liberty and to apply the principles. Those are two of my goals. And so my closing kind of thought to leave us with is that we can look for these threads of dependency and entitlement and materialism that we've been talking about that are the opposite of the ownership mentality. Some of the things we read about were about the values that people feel and have in their lives when they are owners and why that's important. We went into that in some of the lecture. And so opposite, if we're not thinking like owners, we're not getting the values of owners, then we're having dependency, entitlement, and materialism. And so my thought was that is a way to apply liberty in our homes and families, and that's a thing that we can look for. And Deanna gave some great examples about how we can do that. Where are we allowing dependency and entitlement happening right in our own homes and right in our own selves? And I know there's some of that going on right here at the Parks house. So that's just what I wanted to. Bastiat was talking about a whole society. My brain does better thinking about my own little home, as far as what I can really, really do. And so that's what I wanted to finish. So thank you everyone for coming, and I'm not keeping you out. If anyone wants to go anywhere else with discussion and questions, we are welcome to, but that finishes us up officially.